just for discussion. I know that this body doesn't have any authority to do anything about this, but I wanted to put it on behalf of the 7th District, which is Powell, Halls, and High School. I live in this district, and I've been there over 30 years. None of my comments are directed against Mayor Glenn Jacobs or Kevin Julian personally. What my disappointment and disapproval is Mayor Jacobs' appointment of Kevin Julian to the Hallsdale Powell Utility District Board. He was appointed in 2010 by Mayor Tim Burchett to this utility board. And we had a lot of discussion earlier about the charter and the importance of the charter, asking Mr. Weiner if he would, go by the charter. We all took an oath to uphold the charter like we did the Constitution of the United States and Tennessee Constitution. Now, this board is regulated by the state. It is not regulated by Knox County, but this board, including Mayor Jacobs, took an oath to obey and uphold this charter. There are 37,000 ratepayers in the Powell Utility District. That's a number of people who get a bill. So conservatively speaking, if you say there's an average of 2 people, which I would say there's more, that affects over 74,000 people in my district. These are seniors, veterans, families who are having a hard time making ends meet. The rates continue to rise, and the 3-person board of this Hallsdale Powell Utility District determines the water and sewer rates. This company or utility district is $67 million in debt. When I met with the general manager of Hallsdale Powell, I asked him, how do you sustain that? What is your plan to pay off this debt? How are you going to get to where you break even? And his only plan of action was to raise water and sewer rates. And I propose that is not a good solution for the ratepayers. However, this board, this Knox County Commission, has no control over that. But the mayor appointed this same person to be on the board, and if he serves this appointment, he will be, that we know, a minimum of 16 years. 16 years. So I'm expressing my disapproval and disappointment of this board position on behalf of the 7th District and in the spirit of the charter. I don't think our charter was even considered in this matter, and that's what I want to express, that my disappointed approval of this board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Jay, your light is on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a question. Commissioner Lee, you've mentioned the charter several times. Can you help me understand where in the charter it?
Okay. There was an ordinance passed, ordinance number 008-7-102, SI, 8-25-08. Also in consulting with the law director, Book, earlier before the meeting, this was also put on the ballot to the voters about term limits, which happened after Black Wednesday, and that was voted on by the voters of Knox County.
Is that an ordinance or a resolution?
It was an ordinance originally, but then it was by vote.
Okay. Can somebody send that to us in the law department?
Certainly. It's codified in the Knox County Code as section 2.6 or 2-6. And I can read it to you if you like. It's very short. It says members appointed to boards, authorities, and commissions as provided by the provisions of the county charter shall not serve more than 8 years or 2 terms, whichever is greater. If there's an absence of a person willing to be appointed and fill the vacancy of the term limited member, then the term limited member shall be permitted to continue serving in that capacity. That is the provision that.
And do those members of board members, or excuse me, do the boards, authorities, and commissions, would Hallsdale Powell fall under 2.6's jurisdiction?
In our opinion, no. Utility districts are not county boards. They're not controlled by the county charter. They have their origin in state law. In fact, if the county mayor were to take no action to appoint somebody under the law, they appoint their own member. The county simply has no authority under state law to impose term limits on utility boards. In our opinion, this section refers to purely Knox County boards, like the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Merit Council, the Audit Committee, things like that. I understand the concern. My wife is from Powell and shares a lot of the same concerns. But we simply don't have the authority to impose term limits on these utility districts because they are not Knox County committees. They're essentially their own sort of independent corporations. It reminds me rather of stories, because I tell stories now. There used to be what was called the Tennessee Plan in Tennessee that talked to Court of Appeals judges. And the way that worked was very similar to the way this works. There was a nominating committee that sent 3 names to the governor. The governor would pick one of the names, or he could pick no names. And so that's how appellate judges got appointed. But that did not make them members of the executive branch. They were still a separate thing. And even though the mayor in this case has the right to appoint, he's appointing from a list of names given to him by the utility district. And if he takes no action and refuses to appoint anybody, then their number one nominee becomes the nominee anyway. So there's no way that we could impose term limits on them, and we just have no authority to do it. They're not a Knox County governed body, and so they're outside of the scope of the charter and outside of our ability to regulate in the sense that 2-6, I think, meant when it was passed in 2008.
So it's perfectly appropriate for a commissioner to disapprove of the appointment, but it's not illegal and it's not against our charter.
That is correct.
And it's not, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Lee, so does the county mayor make all 3 appointments to that board?
Yes, but it's not done every year. It alternates, like there will be appointment next year. And just to clarify a little bit, there were 10 people that applied for that position. Hallsdale Powell submitted 3 names. The mayor had the option to reject the list, send it back to Hallsdale Powell, which at that point they would have had to send another 3 names. He could have rejected, or he could have selected anybody from that list. However, he picked the same board member. And I agree that we don't have, as a body, the commission to do anything about that. I'm just expressing my disappointment and disapproval of that position in the spirit of our charter.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee, you have anything else? That's fine. Is there any more business to come before this meeting of the Knox County Commission? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned.